Okay everybody, welcome back to the channel. Sorry about the delays that are happening with the gameplay videos for the Chaos Dwarves, having some technical issues, having to redo some gameplay because of corruption and what have you in files. Very, very annoying. Well, I'll talk more about that when I eventually get those out. So anyway, apologies for the delays, but today we're going to be talking about Azazel, his campaign review, and a little bit of a guide for early on. Well, let's look at it. Alright, he's obviously dedicated to Slaanesh, is who he takes after. His physical resistance is quite lovely indeed. The 5 armor is very laughable, so it's a real good thing he has that physical resistance. And then his effects down here, you know, Slaanesh Authority, reduce the seduce cost for Empire, Bretonia, Kislev, and Cathay units, and increase his budget by 25%. That all sounds great, really does. However, let's take a look at that real quick. Yeah, 2,500. Early game, that's fine, especially when there are nothing but cheap units on the field. But if you're playing on harder difficulty, when the enemy AI is going to be growing faster, recruiting more men, having better units, you can run into units that are easily worth over 4,000. Even the armies that are running around are like, oh, this takes 3,200 or 3,500. This is piddly. Okay. Now, with that being said, let's look at some research here. He does have, let's see where it's at. Yeah, see right there. Seduce cost for units reduced by 20%. Alright, that's good. And then you've got this one, the final one. Increases the budget by 100%. Okay, so for him it's 5,000. Okay, you reduce it by 20%, you got 5,000. That's still not great. That really isn't. I have fought plenty of dwarven armies, especially on co-op. Or not co-op, but head-to-head. And you're trying to beat somebody and they're fielding nothing but high-tier units. You're lucky if you get one unit stolen from them because they've got nothing but the expensive stuff. And it's like, alright, well, that's, you know, one's better than nothing. But I would always recommend taking the enemy's cheapest units. Okay? If you're gonna steal from the enemy, take their cheapest units. And here's why. It's a numbers game. You're stealing as many from them as you can. You're using them as the cannon fodder. You know, let them wipe out their own units. Big deal. Big deal. Use them as a distraction while your own men get in the best position to wipe out the enemy. There you go. So I got Azazel a little bit more. His unique tree here, this is really good. I love the 20% ward save and missile damage reflection. It's a great thing. You know, embedded heroes, that's pretty nice. It does encourage you to have a few more heroes in your army, which I'm actually a big fan of. I am. So, the replenishment of hit points for combatants when casting. So, you gotta make sure he's a little bit of a caster. You can't just go full melee route. Even though having the things like the ward save and the physical resistance that encourage you to be more of a melee fighter, but you need to have a little bit of casting. So I didn't make him that big of a caster, but I did definitely get his cheapest spells, his best spells that were cheap as they could go. All right, let's look back at a few more here. You know, increase, you know, bonus versus infantry, beautiful. And then, look at this, while he's in melee, causing damage to combatants in an area. 10 to 20, not amazing, but he's still doing damage. So against lots of units, you know, fighting the Empire, Bretonia, Kislev, vampires, with all their zombies and skeletons, you know, you're still going to be constantly dishing that damage. Last one here, it's not... I don't really care for this. This is not really great to me because, again, it's a local province thing. Casualty replenishment plus 6%. Okay. But thankfully, you've only have to have 3 to get this, and it depends on how much you're really going to be dedicating people to Slaanesh, on how useful this is going to be. This is a pain to me because it takes a while to get high enough level. Like, I want to get my lords immortal as soon as possible. They got to be level 20 for that. But if you dedicate someone, they lose half their points. Yes, there are things, half their points / half their level. But yes, there are things that can reduce that, but still, you got to get them really up there if you want to make them, keep them immortal after the dedication. Because nothing sucks more than dedicating a lord and then like 2 turns later you get hit with a couple of armies, either in ambush or they caught up to you or whatever, because someone declared war on you who you weren't at war with, who was nearby, and a neighboring army that you were at war with, they both come and smack you. And you lose that lord that you just spent those resources on. He was immortal before you dedicated him. Dedicate him, not immortal anymore. You gotta start over. It sucks. But this hex right here, I am always a fan of reducing the melee attack of surrounding units. Big fan of that. So, again, depending on how much you use this is going to determine if it's really worth it to you. Pretty standard stuff for his melee route. His spells, again, I don't use him a lot for that. You can, obviously, if you go that route. But I liked increasing him personally for the melee fighter, going his personal route, making always sure to get the missile resistance, and then focusing a little bit on the type of units you want in your army. Okay. Now, since you don't, as Chaos, have the supply lines, you don't have that army reduction cost here. So, going down this route, you may or may not want to go down it. I personally don't want to go down this one too much. Having the extra movement is always really tempting, and then also having Lightning Strike. So if you're going to go down that route, I recommend getting Lightning Strike. One of the others here, maybe either more income or that defense against ambush. It's really good. And then getting this last one here, the Dark Seducer. Make it a little bit easier on yourself. Quest items. He's only got 1. I do really wish he had more, and it's his weapon, the Demon Blade. It's okay. It really is. I mean, increasing your budget again, it's alright. But there is a event that'll pop up, and you'll be given the option to choose, buffs, debuffs versus items. There is the weapon, the sword that comes from Slaanesh in the Chaos faction, or the Chaos campaign. You actually have, as Azazel, the option to get that sucker. You do. It's a beautiful thing. It's a little random when it pops up. If I remember correctly, I did eventually get it on my playthrough with Azazel, but it took a while. So, and now I don't really recommend Azazel for beginners. Maybe like an, intermediate, someone who's played a few rounds, with Nakari, who understands the mechanics a little bit. He's not so much a beginner faction. I feel like I struggle with it a little bit just because of the location. Because you've got Norskins up here who you got to deal with, and you've got Kislev. And as soon as you meet these people, again, player AI bias, but at the same time, it's not really bias. You're a demon. You're near Kislev. They hate you. They're gonna kill you as soon as they see you. Come over here. You wipe this guy out. You take this. Ignore this territory over here. Come over and wipe out / subjugate these people. Okay? Get them dealt with. Then, if he's still a problem, then go back, subjugate him. But you want to take out some of these people over here first. Orthodoxy and the Ice Court, deal with that as soon as possible. As soon as possible. But you're going to have to bounce back here a little bit. As soon as you take this one, you'll get these guys subjugated. They just come with the territory. And if you're lucky, they'll actually come down and take these guys out. So you don't have to. Otherwise, at the very least, they'll weaken them and it'll be easy. So you don't have to worry about them coming to take your Dark Fortress. Again, not that big a deal. But there's really not too much to say about Azazel's start point. He doesn't have a great relationship with these guys, and it's okay. But your biggest concern is all the Kislevites that are over here. And again, as soon as they see you, they're going to declare war pretty much either that turn or within a couple. So, guys, I hope you liked the video. Hope it was informative. If you got any questions, comments, please leave them. Like, subscribe, share. And please stay tuned for the next one. It's going to be Festus. It's going to be the last one for the DLC with the Champions of Chaos. And then I will eventually be getting around to the rest of the Champions of Chaos. And I'll do like a tier roster as far as Lords go in their starting positions. Thanks very much, guys.